Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome the 13 honorees and thank them for their exemplary service to the public and the courts. Combined, they've served our legal community for over an impressive 350 years. As lawyers and parties, we show up and do our jobs. However, these are the people who help the courts effectively and efficiently serve the public from behind the scenes. These are the legal community's unsung heroes. We thank and salute you for your service. Today, we just recognize a few select individuals nominated as the best of the best. The Foundation Board would also like to thank our sponsors and ticket purchasers for funding this event, the bar professionals who worked tirelessly to organize this ceremony, and all of you, the attendees, who are here this afternoon to celebrate all of our honorees. Please enjoy your afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Bar Foundation President Larry Zuckerman for kicking things off. Larry's not able to attend today's program in person, but he's here with us in spirit. My name is Jacob Cronenberg, and it's my pleasure and honor to serve this afternoon as Master of Ceremonies for the 76th Annual Public Servants Merit Awards. And I'm a little taken aback because there are actually people here this year beyond the honorees. I'm used to seeing this sea of empty seats, and maybe someday we'll get back to being able to have a lunch in a appropriate venue. In any event, each year city, county, state, and federal courts and government offices and clerks of courts offices are asked to nominate non-elected employees for their outstanding service to the legal profession, the general public, and our justice system. These merit awards are given for long and faithful service, devotion to duty, wise counsel, unfailing patience, and assistance to the public and members of the bench and bar of this county. The plan to honor deserving public servants was inaugurated in 1947 by the late Raymond Metzner, a past president of the Cuyahoga County Bar Association. CCBA past president Franklin Polk served annually as continuous chairman until 1986, and at that time, the Public Servants Merit Award was renamed the Franklin A. Polk Public Servants Merit Award to honor Mr. Polk's dedication and outstanding service to the CCBA and the CCBF, now the Metropolitan Bar Association, the Metropolitan Bar Foundation. We are gathered here today at the Cleveland Metropolitan Conference Center and joined by more in the virtual world through our live stream to celebrate 13 wonderful individuals who have made significant contributions to the administration of justice. While we will be hearing live from our honorees in a few minutes, you also have the chance to learn more about each of them in the printed program if you are joining us in person today, or on the bar's website if you are joining remotely. Along with our honorees today, as has been our tradition, we have joining us today several of our colleagues and friends who are past recipients of the Public Servant Merit Awards. At this time, I would like to ask all former honorees who are in attendance to please stand so we can recognize you for your ongoing service and commitment to the public. In addition to these non-elected employees, we have a number of elected judges in attendance, and it's my honor to turn our attention to them. I would ask that the judges who are here today please stand so we may recognize you. We thank you for participating in the event every year, sending in your nominations, and helping us to continue our tradition of recognizing the unsung, until today, heroes amongst us who have and continue to keep the wheels of justice turning. Thank you all. Finally, none of this would be possible without the incredible generosity of law and other organizations that have supported this year's event through sponsorships. We received tremendous support from various law firms, including our gold sponsors, the firms of McDonald Hopkins, Tucker Ellis, Zuckerman, Lear, and Murray. The complete list of sponsors can be found on the back cover of the program that you picked up when you arrive. And for those joining us remotely, the sponsors are also listed on the bar's website. And at this point, without further ado, let's get to the main business of presenting our honorees and allowing them to say a few words. In each instance, the person nominating or the nominator's designee will introduce the recipient, and then the recipient will have the opportunity to say, really, I'm not going to limit. I don't care about the hour. We can stay here till 8. Speak as long as you wish. I'm feeling wild today. Our first honoree from the Cleveland Housing Court is presented by Judge Scott of the Cleveland Housing Court and her nominee, Brock Wade, Deputy Bailiff. Judge Scott.
Thank you, Cleveland Metropolitan. Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me now? Good afternoon. It is with great pleasure to nominate, well, first, thank you, Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. It is with great pleasure to nominate Deputy Bailiff Field Supervisor Brock Wade as the recipient of the Franklin A. Polk Service Merit Award. Deputy Bailiff Brock has been a bailiff with the Cleveland Housing Court for 26 years, starting in September 1996. On June 27, 2022, Deputy Bailiff Brock was promoted and sworn in as the Housing Court's field supervisor. Field Supervisor Wade is always willing to step up and do what's necessary for the good of the office and for the benefit of his team and Cleveland Housing Court. In addition to his work as at the Housing Court, he is married to Leslie Wade and a father of 3 beautiful daughters. In his spare time, he enjoys golfing, hunting, fishing, and gardening. Who knew? As the judge of the Housing Court, I've had the privilege of observing the strong work ethic of Supervisor Wade, and I wholeheartedly believe that he is an asset to my court. Thus, I nominated him for the Franklin A. Polk Service Merit Award. I would be remiss if I didn't inform you that yesterday we had a hostile move-out eviction with a sovereign citizen. And some of my bailiffs have to deal with dangerous move-outs. Deputy Bailiff Field Supervisor Wade led the charge, and this move-out that was deemed dangerous ended up being one that came out that didn't end up being non-deadly or deadly force, did not have to be used. He was commended heavily by his colleagues and his chief bailiff supervisor, and the move-out went with ease. So he is to be commended, especially with all the news of constables, police officers, and sheriffs that have to serve these evictions and these writs that have loss of life. We lost, I think last week, about 5 individuals that served these writs, and it's always good to have ours returned back to Housing Court. That being said, I think he deserves to be commended.
Thank you. Well, I just want to start by saying thank you to Her Honor Judge Monet Scott for nominating me for this. It's nice to be recognized in this way. So again, thank you for that, Judge Scott. To me, being a good public servant is mostly about a mindset. It's about remembering why you're here, understanding what your role is, and frankly, not forgetting whose tax dollars are paying your salary. So I've always tried to show up every day with that in mind and do my best to fill that role as well as I can. And now that I'm on the back 9 of my public service career, it also means doing my best to pass on these principles to the next generation of people who are coming in, behind us and who are going to take our place someday soon. 7.5 years. But who's counting, I also want to say that I feel lucky to have had the privilege of working with a lot of great people here at the Housing Court over the past 26 years. And I feel pretty confident that we, not me, but we as a team have done a lot of good for the community over those years. So I think we can be proud of that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Deputy Bailiff Wade. Our next nominator is Judge Sheen, presiding and administrative judge of the Court of Common Pleas, along with his nominee, Dr. Michael Earnoff, the Director and Chief of Psychology of the court.
Thank you, Mr. Cronenberg. Now that you told me I have more than an hour, I'm ready to go.
Run with it.
One of the great honors of being the administrative judge is being able to nominate a court employee for this award, someone whose dedication to the public that's been distinguished. Thank you to the CMBA and the Bar Foundation for providing this opportunity. It is my great pleasure this year to nominate Dr. Michael Earnoff, who is the head of our court psychiatric clinic. Dr. Earnoff started at the court 26 years ago last month, and he was an associate director of the psych clinic. And when I was a young lawyer and I had darker hair, he and I worked on many cases together. During the past 2.5 decades, Dr. Earnoff has held the title of chief psychologist, interim clinic director, and now the clinic director. He has navigated many changes and the demands by this ever-changing law while directing and supporting the staff of the clinic. At our clinic, a defendant with possible mental issues is recommended for review. Our skilled psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers evaluate a defendant's competence to stand trial, the ability to understand the charges against them, and the ability to participate in the process. The clinic experts also make a variety of mental health recommendations to the court and also works very closely with our 5 mental health judges. Born in Cincinnati, Dr. Earnoff and his wife, Julie, have had 2 grown children now, Abigail and Bess, who are listening online. He's a graduate of The Ohio State University, and he's earned his PsyD from Nova Southeastern University of Florida. Dr. Earnoff is a longstanding member of the Ohio Forensic Directors Association, where other clinics often call upon his expertise. Dr. Earnoff also displayed exceptional leadership during COVID, and he continues to be a mentor to our clinic staff. His work has been noted nationally by our state and other judges and his staff for the quality and detail. Matter of fact, when we were upstairs taking photos, one of our judges, Judge Gall, who's here today, mentioned Dr. Earnoff. You're Dr. Earnoff? I mean, Judge Gall met Dr. Earnoff upstairs and thanked him for giving the story of a defendant on paper and just the great detail him and his staff have done to help educate our judges about the background of a defendant. Now, not only does Dr. Earnoff lead the court psychiatric clinic, he also may be our court's biggest music fan. If you want to discuss concerts or record collections, especially those from the British invasion, he will gladly do so. I understand from talking with him today, his kids will call him if they find a vintage album and that they're interested in, and preferably the early mono pressing albums. So here's an interesting note. As a young man, Dr. Earnoff was at the 1979 Cincinnati Who's concert, where unfortunately 11 people died rushing in to get to that concert. In an era before cell phones, his parents were concerned until he arrived home. Fast forward to 2021. Dr. Earnoff attended the Who's first concert in Cincinnati since that frightful night, and he did call his mother when he got home. He has seen concerts all across the country, and even got to a point, I think it's a high five, from Paul McCartney in Washington, D.C., where he's sitting in the 8th row. Did I mention The Ohio State University? As I understand it, Dr. Earnoff does not miss watching an Ohio State football game, especially last Saturday night. And if possible, I imagine his many travels, he's always had a TV set with him. I asked his wife, Julie, even when he goes to Iowa to visit her family, where it's 800 degrees below zero, he tells me. So our court is fortunate to have a leader like Dr. Earnoff. Our understanding of mental health and its impact on the justice system makes having a top-notch psychiatric clinic an integral and critical part of our daily operations. That excellence stems from the department's leadership. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Michael Earnoff as the Common Pleas Court General Division Franklin A. Polk Award recipient this year. It is a well-deserved honor, and we're so proud to have Dr. Earnoff as one of our court family. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Sheehan, for those kind words, and good afternoon. When I got the call from Judge Sheehan in court administration that I was nominated for this award, I was flooded with many emotions. Initially, I was surprised, honored, and proud. Shortly thereafter, apprehension and ambivalence set in. I began thinking, does Judge Sheehan, Greg Popovich, Andrea Canast, Chris Russ realize that I don't plan on retiring for another 2 years? Don't they know I had my mind set on slipping in the autopilot mode? I guess that's not going to happen now. Obviously, I'm joking. It's been a pleasure and honor to serve the Court of Common Pleas for the past 26 years. During my tenure, I've worked with a number of wonderful judges, attorneys, court administrators. They have all educated me on various aspects of the judicial process and have been extremely supportive of the Court Psychiatric Clinic's mission, which is to provide comprehensive and objective evaluations for the court that facilitate just resolution of cases. But today, I see my role as accepting this wonderful honor on behalf of the Court Psychiatric Clinic and not myself. We have a staff of competent psychiatrists, psychologists, and social workers who are dedicated to ensuring the clinic's mission is fulfilled. Many of them have worked at the clinic as long as I have. Our support staff is invaluable. Their ingenuity and ability to adapt to situations such as a pandemic while ensuring that clinical staff can perform their duties is impressive and greatly appreciated. Without my staff, I would have never been able to achieve what I have on a professional level. That each of these individuals has also chosen to work in the public sector is commendable, and they should be recognized for it. Public service is very important to my family. My wife, Julie, is the chief of psychology at the Cleveland VA Medical Center, where she has worked for over 30 years. My daughter, Bess, is a school psychologist at the South Milwaukee Public School District, and my daughter, Abigail, is pursuing a master's in public health at Emory University. I'm very proud that my daughters have also chosen careers in public service, and they're watching today. Maybe someday they'll return to Cleveland to work. Hint, hint. Anyway, thank you for your time and this great honor.
Congratulations, Dr. Earnoff. I understand that the court has a good employee assistance program if the angst gets to be too much for you. Our next presenter is Clerk Bird from the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Clerk's Office, and her nominee, Marie Bailey, Legal Clerk.
So for those of you who don't know, I think it was intentional. He did not attempt to pronounce my first name. But anyway, new rule.
I had to cut the time.
Here we go.
13 nominees.
Good afternoon. I am honored to be here with you today. This is truly one of the occasions I look forward to every year. It is a time when we pay tribute to our unsung heroes and heroines of our community. Condoleezza Rice, the former United States Secretary of State, once said, and I quote, "There is no greater challenge and there is no greater honor than public service." We here today know that this is true. And the nominee from the Cuyahoga County Clerk of Court's office, who we recognize today, is the embodiment of Secretary Rice's words. Marie Bailey is married. She has 2 daughters and a son. She's been with the Cuyahoga County Clerk of Court's office for 23 years. And trust me, at times, balancing family and work outside of the home can be a challenge. Although Marie's official title is Legal Account Clerk 3, she is much, much more than a title. You see, Marie exemplifies the best of the best as she efficiently and effortlessly navigates the county courts and the county clerk of court's office to ensure customers and other stakeholders' requests are met. She's one of the many faces of the Cuyahoga County Clerk's office who serve the public as she completes each request with the care and the sincerity that reflect a respect for the individual she is serving. During the pandemic, like many others in our office, she did not miss a beat. As Judge Sheehan will tell you, she was there, we were in person, and we were ready to serve. So Marie, we recognize you, we honor you, and we thank you for an impeccable job. I am extremely pleased today to present to you Marie Bailey, the Cuyahoga County Clerk of Court's nominee for the 76th Annual Public Servant Merit Award. My deepest congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a little nervous, so please bear with me. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Clerk Nayla Bird, my manager, Monica Berry. Thank you so much for giving me this honor. Thank you, Cleveland Bar Association also. For part of my life, earlier in my life, I worked in a factory. I packed can lids and gallon cans. And after they moved to another state, what was the next thing I was going to do? I wanted to do something different, and a friend of mine suggested I put an application in for the Clerk of Courts, and I did. And a couple months later, they called me. I interviewed, and I got hired. I started off at the Title Bureau. I was there for 5 years. And I was promoted then to the Justice Center in the HR department for 9 years. The Justice Center was a building I never even walked in it. What an eye-opener. Then these last 9 years, I was in a couple departments and learned a lot. Then I went to certified copy, which helps the public for all their needs and their paperwork. And then I went to the filing department, which was, it was out of the stratosphere of how different it was. And my heart softened. For everyone that was in front of me, it softened, and it changed my life. I am so grateful for Monica Berry, who was at my side. I bent her ear a lot this past year. My brother was very ill and in hospice, and she was there anytime I needed to talk. My supervisor, Mike Vaccaro, who was very patient with me, and Sierra Elliott. We are the 3 people, the front line. We are the go-getters. We have people, I can pretty much know how this person feels when they turn that corner and walk in our office. I am the very first person they see. And as they, I can kind of like look at them and go, oh, is this going to be good or whatever? And we put 1,000% to make sure that people, even if they're not on the right floor, we direct them. We walk them to the elevators. And I have learned protection orders. I have learned passport pictures. Never in a million years did I thought I'd ever be taking someone's picture. New filings, certified copies. Across the street at the old courthouse, we have Court of Appeals. We have archives. We have domestic. Where I stand at, I can look and see everybody at their desk working. And we work so hard to make sure that everything comes out right and it's a good day, and at the end of the day, we all feel really good that we helped people. And that's just how my heart is. I cannot express, I can't even tell you how I feel right now. It's a wonderful feeling. It's wonderful to be recognized, but everybody that I work with, all my coworkers at the Clerk of Courts, they are wonderful people. They're hardworking people. And I'm so proud to be part of the Clerk of Court and everyone I work with. And I thank you so much for this. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey, and congratulations. Our next nominee was nominated by Federal Public Defender Newman and is being presented by the director of that organization's habeas unit, Mr. Rossman, the Honoree Annetta Patton Bray of the Federal Public Defender's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Cronenberg. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alan Rossman. I am not Steve Newman, and I am not head of the Federal Public Defender's Office for the Northern District of Ohio. Steve, who nominated Ms. Bray, asked that I apologize to him for not being here. It was a family matter, and I tell you that is the only thing that would have kept him from being here personally to introduce Annetta. Steve feels truly bad about not being able to speak from the heart about the great respect he has for Annetta in the many roles she has played as a public servant in our public defender office. So I am the last-minute stand-in. I am an assistant federal public defender, and I've known Ms. Bray since 2008 when she, Vicki Wernicke, and myself opened the Capital Habeas Unit in the defender's office. I will tell you my admiration for Annetta as a paralegal and as our DEI coordinator, as a friend and a colleague, and as her ever-expanding role as a public servant is way, way up there along with Steve's admiration and where his is hanging out. My point is that in thinking about what I was going to say in a minute to introduce Annetta, out of curiosity, I looked up some famous quotes about public servants, and guess what? They said it more eloquently than I can. And it is truly as if they were writing about Annetta personally. So here's three of them. From Margaret Chase Smith. Public service is more than doing a job efficiently and honestly. Rather, it must be a complete dedication to the people and thus to the nation. From Constance Wu. Public service is about serving all the people, including the ones who are not like you. And from Jack Lew. I think there is no higher calling in terms of a career than public service, which is a chance to make a true difference in people's lives, to do this and thereby improve the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I will let Annetta Patton Bray speak for herself. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, members of the Bar Association Committee, for this wonderful award. It is truly appreciated. And I thank our defender, Steve Newman, for even thinking of me to nominate. And I also would like to say congratulations to all my fellow nominees. It is really my honor to be here with all of you today. and only cute, which is really kind of nerve-wracking. When I first walked through the doors of the Federal Public Defender Office in July of 1992, I never imagined I would continue to walk through those same doors over 30 years later, especially because I originally was hired for a 3-month temporary position that extended to additional months and eventually became a permanent position. I started out in a split position as a receptionist and legal secretary. I recall at the time my plan was to stay at the office a few years to gain experience and then move on to what I thought would be my real job. What I failed to realize back then was my position was a real job, and it was one of a public servant. What I've learned over the years is that the breadth and scope of a true public servant is virtually unlimited, and if limited at all, it is only by our imagination. Given I have been with the office over 30 years, it is fair to assume I did not leave after a few years. That is in large part due to the fact that I have been able to learn and wear multiple hats, all while working for the same office. I have worked under the leadership of 4 federal public defenders, Edward Merrick, Michael Dane, Dennis Therese, and Stephen Newman. I am blessed to say that during each defender's tenure, my position and responsibilities as a public servant expanded qualitatively. I've learned that public service knows no limitations. Mr. Merrick hired me. Michael Dane promoted me to a paralegal. Dennis Therese allowed me to transition into my dream job of being a chief paralegal doing capital habeas or death penalty work. As Alan said, our capital habeas unit opened in 2008, and he and Vicki Wernicke and I were the ones who started the unit. I was completely new to this area of law, and both Alan and Vicki encouraged me to not only learn from them, but to also make the position what I wanted it to be. When I first met Alan, one of the first things he said to me is that he would teach me. Everything he knew, and he has kept that promise to this day and for everyone in my unit. Thank you for that. I learned yet again that the reach of a public servant knows no bounds. With Steve, my already perfect job has become truly a dream position. About a year after Steve joined our office, he started what must be considered fundamental for today's public servants, a DE&I program, and he asked me to be the coordinator. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are topics I've always had an interest in, but until then had no real avenue to contribute to our office. Through my DE&I position, I not only assist with helping our office to continue to create a diverse and inclusive environment, and not only do I have input on creative ways to litigate race in our cases, but I am a founder of a national task force that informs and advises our defender community how to proceed and become more sensitive to DE&I topics and initiatives. In essence, my dream position has given me a voice as an advocate and as a public servant for ending the death penalty, for representing and humanizing our clients, and for addressing systemic racism and implicit bias in our criminal legal system. Thus, my most fundamental lesson over these past 30 years has been that the value and importance of a public servant can be a true agent of change. I apologize for getting emotional. This is actually more emotional than I expected coming up here. I am grateful for everyone I've worked with over these past 30 years and who I've learned from and have helped me to become the person that I am today. I am especially grateful to Steve Newman and Jacqueline Johnson. Jacqueline Johnson is our first assistant, and I wish that they could be here while I accept this honor from all of you. I am grateful to my parents, my grandmother, Anna Evans, and my father, Donald Patton, who raised me and gave me a wonderful life and a foundation to go forward with in life. I'm grateful for my wonderful husband of 24 years, Timothy Bray, who has stood by me and supported me. and always believes in me. I thank my colleagues and friends who are here and watching on video and are probably laughing at me at this moment. And I want to thank all of you again for this really, really wonderful honor. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Ms. Bray. Our next nominator is Judge Neff of the Lakewood Municipal Court, with her nominee, John Daly, the judicial bailiff of that court.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be here, not only as a career public servant, but as a first-time nominator. And I'm so proud to be standing next to this man. JD, John Daly. He is a man of incredible strength. And I don't mean the type that, works out at the gym. I'm talking about his strong faith, his strong relationships with his family and friends, and his strong work ethic. He is extremely devoted and loyal to his family, his 4 sisters, his mother, his pride and joy, his son Patrick, and his nieces and nephews. Many of them are here today, and many of his friends are here to help celebrate and honor John for this special occasion. John is a giver. He is a devout Catholic and still serves as lector at St. Brendan's Church in North Olmsted. Prior to the pandemic, John would rise early every Saturday morning to be at Metro Health Hospital at 6 a.m. to comfort and cradle the newborn babies in the ICU unit. He has a standing weekly date with his mother. They go to church and have breakfast afterwards. He is known to dog sit for his sister. And he is always helping someone, whether it is a friend, a family member, an attorney, a coworker, or the public. He is the guy who always says yes. John grew up in Lakewood, and in 1987, he graduated from the Xavier University. He loves his Musketeers. After graduation, John dabbled in sales, and he worked for a short stint at Lakewood Hospital. Yes, John is a great guy. But you can say that about a lot of people. The real reason we are here today is because John got his calling on April 2nd, 1990, when he landed a judicial bailiff position at Lakewood Municipal Court. Think about how remarkable that is, to be doing the same job for the same organization at the same position for 32 years. And with the same energy and passion for the job that began over 3 decades ago. John's Lakewood Municipal Court work friends will tell you he is intense and focused when on the job, or maybe most of the time. That is John. Thank goodness he makes time to release and relax with friends at his favorite watering hole, the Rush Inn. What happens at the Rush stays at the Rush. You know what I mean? Seriously, John is an inspiration to us all. Even after 32 years, he still is the first to arrive at court, usually around 7 or 7:30. I wouldn't be surprised if it's earlier, but you just won't tell us. And he is the last to take a day off. I'm not exaggerating when I say I have to order him to take a day off. He is an exemplary worker and human being. John is exceptionally loyal to the court. He just cares a lot. On January 1, 2022, John and I came full circle in our relationship. From 1996 to 2006, I worked as a magistrate at Lakewood Municipal Court. Now as the new judge in the court, we are working together again. In fact, John was the first John was the first person I called, and I asked if he would stay at least a little while to help me get started if I won the election. Here he is. You know what his answer was. I am so very happy for John today because he deserves this recognition award for all his dedicated work. In closing, Many of you know John's booming voice as he shouts at the beginning of every court session. It's very loud and kind of scary. He'll say, "All rise, hear ye, the honorable court is in session," so forth. Well, now it's my turn to do it for him. Would you please indulge me? All rise. Okay. Here, wait. So, hear ye. It is my distinct honor to introduce my amazing bailiff, John Daly.
Thank you, Judge Neff, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. When the judge first told me she was nominating me for this award, I was almost speechless. I know some of the members of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association had a chance to review or read the letter that she wrote. Not only was it the most sincere, heartfelt letter ever written about me, it might be the greatest letter ever written. So thank you, Judge. As the judge said, I was fortunate to having to work with the judge beginning in 1996 for 10 years. I found her to be extremely intelligent, hardworking, and dedicated to her position. As she said, when she approached me last fall, during her campaign for judge, she asked me what my plans were for the new year. I told her that I wanted to stay, and she said, "Good, because I want you to remain on as my bailiff." It was that easy. I want to recognize some very important people that were there with me at the beginning and taught me so much about the court and how everything worked. First of all, I want to thank Judge Patrick Carroll, who saw something in me in 1990 to give me a chance. Having worked with Judge Carroll for over 30 years, I saw a man with vast knowledge of the law and a strong work ethic. To Judge Nancy McDonnell and to Judge Thomas O'Malley, whose support and encouragement were most beneficial in my early years. To my very dear friends, Tom and Susan Wagner, who recently celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. I never had the chance to witness Tom in action as a county prosecutor, although I hear the word to describe him was legendary. I did see Tom over the years as in private counsel, as the Lakewood City prosecutor, clerk of court, and magistrate. His compassion and attention to detail was inspiring. To all my former and current co-workers, thought I forgot you, thank you for all your hard work and for making coming to the court every day so enjoyable. Also, to my parents, who instilled in me the virtues of faith, gratitude, honesty, and kindness. I am forever grateful. To my 4 beautiful sisters, for being here today, and my 2 sisters' boyfriends, and my brother-in-law, Dave. Sorry, Dave. Just so you know, Tim, you're on the pressure's on to change Mary Ellen's title, by the way. To all the other members of my family who couldn't be here today or who may be streaming this, I love you. We are all in the people business. Our daily encounters with the public can and do affect the image of the court. We handle individuals with substance abuse and mental health issues on a daily basis. I know I need to do a better job of becoming an active listener. I want to congratulate all of the other honorees and their nominators. Finally, I am truly honored in having been chosen as a recipient of the Franklin A. Polk Public Servants Merit Award. To Larry Zuckerman, President of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, to the officers and board of directors, to Caitlin Peterson for all of your hard work and keeping me informed about the process, and to everyone that played a part in making this afternoon possible, thank you. Thank you and congratulations, amazing Bailiff Daly. Excuse me, our next Nominator is Judge Gallagher of the Probate Court of Cuyahoga County with her nominee, Maria Furman, Judicial Assistant.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I hate to correct an attorney. I know that's bad. The nominator was our presiding judge of the probate court, Judge Anthony Russo, but he allowed me the privilege of introducing Maria, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Judge Russo and I were just having a brief conversation before this program started, just along the lines of it's really hard to keep people these days. I don't know if you're all experiencing this, but nobody wants to stick around anymore for very long. So to see all of you awardees today who have 20 plus years of service, congratulations, and we're very grateful because the training gets kind of tiring after a while. I am especially honored to introduce this year's nominee from Probate Court, Maria Furman, because for the past 4 years, I have claimed her as my own. Maria has been a part of the probate family since 2001, and she's progressed through several of our departments, which made her invaluable to me when she agreed to join me in 2018 as my judicial assistant. She knows a lot more than I do about the court, and I appreciate that every day. Maria is joined here today by her husband, Ken, her children, Stephanie, Megan, Stephen, and her son-in-law, Stephen, and many loving friends and co-workers. We know our family members because we talk about our family members when we're at work. It's a really incredible environment. It's intense. We work hard. I've had a reputation for being hard to work for, but Maria seems to handle that pretty well. But it's again, I appreciate the opportunity to introduce her. Maria is dependable, honest, hardworking, and loyal. But beyond that, caring and generous. She has been a source of support and encouragement for me professionally and personally, and she has been the same for many others at the probate court. When the going gets tough, Maria gets baking. She is our go-to baker-in-chief, and she's brought much joy to the court with her bakery, believe me. While probate court is our daytime family, Maria is extremely committed to her actual family. She's a doting mother and grandmother, and her greatest joy, I think, are her family trips to Disney World with her family. Hope she gets to do another one soon, but not too soon. I need her. So on behalf of the probate court, and for me personally, and great appreciation for what Maria does for me every day, congratulations for 21 years with the court and for your recognition today. Much appreciated.
First, I'd like to thank Judge Russo for nominating me. Judge Gallagher, thank you very much. You told me not to cry. I told you not to cry. It was an order. When I was hired to work at probate court, I thought I made a huge mistake taking the job. I cried almost every night for weeks. I had no idea what probate was. I had no idea who anyone was. I was placed in a room with 11 other women. They each had their own personality. But come to think of it, that may be the reason why I cried every night. It was very hard. I often asked myself, why did I do this? But it wasn't too long before I realized all those people weren't too bad. As a matter of fact, I made so many friends and wonderful memories, and the work eventually became easy for me. And soon after, I asked myself many times, why didn't I do this sooner? I really enjoy what I do. I'm thrilled to be working with such wonderful people. Judge Gallagher, thank you. I have to mention Eddie. He's out there somewhere. Thank you for choosing me to work with you. We have such a great office dynamic. It's been a wonderful opportunity for my career here at probate court.
Our office has been through quite a lot this year, and we stuck together like family. And although I am too counting down to my retirement, I have 11 more years. I'm really looking forward to being there at probate court with you and with everyone else there. So thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Ms. Furman, and thank you, Judge Geller. You won't be the first or last judge to correct me on something. Our next presenter, another first-time presenter, Judge Walton Keller of the Shaker Heights Municipal Court, and her nominee, Julie Freeman Johnson, the administrative manager of the court.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The giveaway that I'm a first-time presenter is that I didn't know about the wiggle room in the introduction time, so I brought a Post-it note for my remarks. And my court administrative manager, Julie, has been laughing at me for the past hour about it. But I am so pleased that for my first time to nominate someone, that I have the opportunity to nominate Julie for the Public Servants Award. Julie has been a public servant for 26 years. 22 of those years have been in the Shaker Heights Court. During that time, she has been invaluable in providing support to both previous and retired Judge Montgomery and to me. Since my election last year, she has been my right hand and does so many things for the court. She has so many good qualities, including her leadership qualities. But one of her most important qualities is her desire to help others. And I think that that's such an important attribute for a public servant. And Julie displays that every day. One of her main responsibilities is communicating with the public. And she does everything in such a professional manner that she makes the court look good every day. And we're so lucky to have her. And on a personal note, I'm just so pleased, and it's so meaningful for me to be able to present this award to you or to nominate you for this award because of everything that you've done for the court for the past year. And we're so lucky to have you at the Shaker Heights Court. Congratulations to all of the recipients of the Franklin Polk Public Servants Award. And please join me in congratulating Julie Freeman Johnson, the Shaker Heights Court Administrative Manager.
Good afternoon. I am very pleased to receive this award from this very time-honored and prestigious group. Thank you, Judge Keller, for considering me for this accolade. My 22 years at Shaker Court have flown by, and I think that's a testament to how much I have enjoyed my work, but also the wonderful people that I have had the good fortune to work with. I would like to start by thanking Judge K.J. Montgomery for the opportunity to be of service in her court. She supported me, encouraged me, and challenged me to use my brain and to spread my wings. She actually let me fly. And thank you, Judge Keller. You are wise beyond your years. I am amazed by how much you have accomplished in such a short period of time. With every demand and every challenge, you have managed to simply rise. With court leaders like you at the helm, the court system is in very capable hands, and I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Last but not least, I would like to thank my mother, who's out in the audience. I thank you for supporting me, for expecting me to always do my best, whether I was to receive recognition for it or not. And this is a value that I have passed on to my daughter, who is in the virtual audience this evening. Hi, Kayla. Again, thank you, Judge Keller, for this recognition. This is really a very special moment for me, and it has been my pleasure to serve. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you, Ms. Freeman Johnson. Our next nominee was nominated by Judge Early of the Cleveland Municipal Court, and on Judge Early's behalf, she will be presented by Judge Patton of the Cleveland Municipal Court, Tanya Gibson, Court Reporter, Department Manager.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you all. This is a festive occasion. It truly is, and it's not the first one of these events I've attended. But we're recognizing public service, the people who help people. And it brings a warm feeling to your heart when you hear what people have sacrificed and given up and contributed to make this work. So thanks to the Bar Association for putting this on. And I'm so happy that Judge Early had another appointment and I got to come. Tanya Gibson, 33 years in the court. I was a young prosecutor, and I remember Tanya being in court. And our court started in 1912. We were the first municipal court in the state of Ohio, the first court of record, municipal court. And that record has been kept, that history has been kept, in most part, to what the court reporters do. Tanya's there. Tanya has a straight face. I'd hate to play poker with her. But she's dedicated to her job. She takes care of business. I just want to say thank you again for what you've done all these years. She's a Clevelander, Collinwood High School. Her father was an iron worker, worked on many of the buildings, tall buildings in downtown Cleveland. Probably worked on this one. I know he worked on their review. Mother, retired from the VA. She loves to travel. And when she travels, she goes to sunny places with warm beaches. She wants to go to Hawaii, and so do I. I asked her about what was her most favorite trial at the Cleveland Municipal Court, and she told me a complicated vehicular homicide case. And some people don't realize what we do in municipal court. They just think of it as traffic tickets. But we do handle vehicular homicide cases. There's another homicide we take care of. And Common Pleas Court handles the limits, above our limits, but we do the same thing. We really do. She also likes jazz. I have jazz playing in my office when I'm in there, just to calm me down from getting cussed out sometimes in court. It happens. She makes a record of it. And it's nice to see everybody in here who I haven't seen. And nice to meet the families of the people we work with. And hopefully enjoy seeing some people we haven't seen for a couple of years because of COVID. So nice to see you again. But I'm just happy to be here and make this award. And congratulations to Tanya for the hard work she's done for 33 years and some more time left with the court. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I must say that when I received the call to report to speak to Judge Early, we had just had a survey within the court, and I just felt like I was going to the principal's office. I did not want to go. Colleen said, "It's not that bad, it'll be okay." And I went in and she spoke to me and let me know that she nominated me for the award, and I think I just froze. I don't I said, thank you, but I kind of don't remember much after that because I wasn't expecting it. So I'd like to thank Judge Early for nominating me for the Franklin A. Polk Service Award. My dad, who helped build the Justice Center, throughout his career, he encouraged me. He said, go over to the building and apply for a job, and that was great advice. I started with the Cleveland Municipal Court in the probation department. I took a clerk typist job while I was in college for court reporting school. And I had no idea that over the 30 years I would be standing here today in front of everyone, family, friends, nominees, and just, it's amazing. So I wanted to say that I am grateful for the opportunity to work in the courtroom and that I was always the judge's silent partner. And we both have very tough jobs to do because we listen. And I tell my children that all the time. I listen for a living, so they can't say things under their breath that I won't hear. We are asked a lot of questions while we are in the front of the courtroom, and I do try to help everyone and answer to the extent that I can. Working in public service is a great responsibility, and I have learned and grown a lot. And of course, when I started, my hair was not this color. Oftentimes, the Justice Center, it is a very intimidating building to be in. People are in an unfamiliar atmosphere. They're afraid, they're confused. And I've always taught my children, and I do my best to treat others the way that I would want to be treated and to help everyone, even if it's just what color elevator that they need to get on. I want to thank my parents. My mom, she retired. She's not able to be here today, but she retired from the VA Medical Center. My dad is a retired iron worker and a Marine. My parents instilled a great work ethic in me, and I want to thank my children, my 3 children, I should say, my family, my friends, my coworkers, and everyone who supported me throughout my career. Again, thank you to Judge Early, Judge Patton, and all the judges of the Cleveland Municipal Court and the Cleveland Bar Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson, and congratulations, and good luck in getting to Hawaii. I'm sure that Judge Patton will see if they can get a good fare for both of you. Oh, great, another opportunity to mangle Municipal. Clerk of Court Turner from the Cleveland Municipal Court has nominated Dawn Harris, the Criminal Division Director of that court.
My. To the Municipal Bar Association, thank you very much for the opportunity to recognize an outstanding person. And to my very dear friend over here, thank you very much for continuing to serve. A couple of people have alluded to COVID and our trials and tribulations that we went through with COVID. Now we're going through another trial where we can't find employees. And so I'm putting a public service announcement out. We are hiring. And if you know any accountants, we are hiring. So everybody that's watching us live, we are hiring in the Clerk of Court's office. That's Cleveland. Who is Dawn Harris? Dawn Harris was a supervisor. She started at Clerk of Court's office, and she worked her way to becoming a supervisor. She's a mother of 5 kids. And we call them clerk babies because she had all the kids during her tenure in the Clerk of Court's office. During the COVID, as our management team, she is also the director of the criminal division. She was appointed to that position several years ago. We met as administrative staff every single day trying to put plans together to protect our employees and to protect the public. And I remember one time we were trying to get hand sanitizer. We were trying to get masks. We were trying to get everything. And we were trying to get some spray just so we could spray the counters down until we actually did get some machines. And who was outside spraying the counters down? Dawn, making sure that the public was safe and if they touched something. Dawn has distinguished herself because during that time, where I was meeting every day, I think we got sick and tired of each other as administrative staff. So I put together what is called the directors meeting, and I have the directors to work. And who, once again, distinguished themselves was Dawn in the directors meeting. She became a leader amongst leaders. And that's so important. January, my chief operating officer, she said, Earl, I've had it. This is it. And she retired. And so I want to make another public service announcement. Dawn Harris is now the chief operating officer of the clerk of court's office. She is now second in command of the clerk of court's office. So at this time, and she's also married. I don't know, you get older and you can't see. I don't know if, where's Vernal at? Raise your hand, Vernal. That's her husband. Are any of your kids here? Yes, right here. Come on, everybody stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. And she has twins. So she had twin boys. So, that can be quite a challenge too. So at this time, let me bring to you, and for people who don't know Dawn, the new COO of the clerk of court's office, Dawn Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation. What you said and how you professed the love for what you do, for your public service to everyone. I understand my fellow clerk sister. Upstairs in the criminal division, we feel it too. Nobody comes to the criminal division for any positive reason. So our job is not to judge. Our job is to service our customers, regardless of what they're there for. Our victims, our officers, our Joe public who just wants to know. I have the best team in the Justice Center. That's my team right there. Yes. And I say that because I also stand here as a representative of every single person that's here. I'm standing here as a representative of my family, my daddy. I see you out there, daddy and mama, yes. I stumbled upon this job over almost 30 years ago. I came here as a college intern, and a couple of friends of ours, we just wanted to get a job, the party, okay. That was close to campus, okay. And so 30 years ago, I never knew the Justice Center even existed. This was not the plan. This was not the plan. I had the honor of working with one of the best people that I know, Ron Tabor. Ron Tabor is a staple of the clerk of court's office. One of the things that he imparted to me at that time, because this was not part of the plan, it wasn't about how to do the job, it's your why. Why do you do it? Who are you serving? And understanding your reason for being there. What we understood was, yes, the Justice Center is a very intimidating place, just to navigate through there, not knowing where to go. Understanding Justice Center, the only positive reasons to come there most of the time is to get married, right? So our jobs as public servants is to be able to help them navigate through those fears, the confusion, and also at times the despair. As you said earlier, what elevator to go to? That simple look, that smile, that energy that Selena has always taught me about is how important that energy is. But also to his public servants, I say to you, what I've learned through my team, Shonda, I'm not going to drop any last names because you guys are poaching people, and now you've not poached my team. And yes, so Shonda, she talks about the importance of self-care. Self-care, that's something that we talked about. This is a family. I told her the other day, no matter how much I resist, yes, you guys are my family. My son asked me this morning, he goes, Mama, you always said that in regards to friends, you don't make friends at work. He said, are these your friends? Yes. Yes, they are. My mama told me to Dawn be in the moment. She goes, slow down. That's the reason why I have no paper. I'm practicing in being in the moment with you. It's uncomfortable for the acknowledgement, the honor for just doing what we do. We speak from the heart. I have the best administrative team. Guys, you know it was hard navigating through the pandemic. We had uncharted territories, but we did it. Judge Sheehan, yes, I was on that call. We call it the county call every week, sometimes twice a week, however needed, and we navigated, and we gained the trust of the employees of that building, understanding the importance. I have had the honor and the privilege of the mentorship of so many who came through those doors. Judge Adrian, the late Judge Jones, Judge Early, Judge Scott, so many different judges, and a host of all my other judges. My team has taught me so much. My administrative team. My chief of staff, Kim Bates, she couldn't be here today, but hey, Kim! The mentorship, the discussions, and to help us through those hard and difficult conversations. Yvette Wynn, who's our resident teacher, she could have went anywhere, but she stayed here. And we all literally grew up together. Our go-to person who knows everything, Saranya. Saranya always gets us together. But one of the other people that stand most forefront for me is Phyllis Burks. Phyllis, hey. She's one of the people who took me under her wings when I first started here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You should have never told us we didn't have to do all that. But I will tell you this. Yes, that's okay. Look, we are public servants, and we have an appreciation for mocktails and cocktails, so I will not be the person that's going to keep you from that. I just want to say thank you to every single person that is here, not just my clerk of courts team, but every judge, every attorney, every public servant that is here. Thank you, and it is an honor to serve. Thank you. I'm sorry, one more thing, sorry. I would be remiss if I did not thank my husband for almost 30 years. I thank you, husband, for loaning me and sharing me with this team, my beautiful 5 and bright and beautiful children, and Jada, who's in California. Hey, all right then. Thank you guys, bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Congratulations not on just your award, but your promotion. And as to the rest of you here, it's between you and your boss whether you will also get a promotion from today. So Bar Association is not responsible for that. Our next nominator from the U.S. Bankruptcy Court, Northern District of Ohio, Judge Harris, is here to present his nominee, Eric Jones, Automation Specialist of the court.
Good afternoon. I'm one of the bankruptcy judges sitting in Cleveland, and it's my privilege to introduce Eric Jones, who has served the bankruptcy court and those appearing in our court with distinction for the past 26 years. Since coming to the bankruptcy court in 1996, after a 4-year stint with the U.S. Air Force and 6 years with the bankruptcy court in Dayton, Eric has served our court in a variety of jobs. He's done intake, case administration, electronic court recording, running our help desk, and virtually everything related to automation, such as fixing our computers, our phones, manning our electronic filing system, our courtroom video equipment, and remote access for those working from home, including myself during COVID. Eric is one of those rare persons whom everyone calls because they know he'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. In his spare time, he's also produced some amazing videos for our retiring judges and court employees. I'd like to acknowledge his wife, Alicia, who's here, and also I'll let Eric introduce some other family members that decided to surprise him at the last minute. So I cannot think of anyone more deserving of this award for public service than Eric Jones. Eric?
I'll try to be brief. I want to thank the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation for bestowing this honor upon me. I never set out to have a career with the courts or, the bankruptcy court. I ended up applying for the position in the early 90s when my previous employer went out of business. But here I am many years later. I'm still with the courts. It's been a pleasure to serve the public and the bar, and I've found the work to be very fulfilling. I didn't get here today by myself, though, so I would like to acknowledge a few key people who helped me in my service to the public. First, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Yvonne Wood, who hired me back in the mid-90s. I wasn't even from the Cleveland area, so I didn't even know how to pronounce Huff Bakery or didn't know anything about the baseball team here. My former colleague, Joe Fouts, who is now retired, he was so gracious in allowing me to work as his automation assistant, despite the fact that he never asked for an assistant. I'd like to acknowledge the clerk, our current clerk of the court, Josiah Sell, who I first met when he was an intern for the Honorable Judge Randolph Baxter. My brother, James, who now himself works for the U.S. District Court, for getting me started with computers in the early 90s. My lovely wife of 27 years, Alicia, who has been my rock. And by the way, I met on a computer, so again, Jim, thank you for getting me into computers. And of course, to the rest of my court family, the colleagues, I thank them. They have supported me and they appreciate me and I appreciate them. So again, thank you and congratulations to all the other nominees. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Mr. Jones. The next honoree comes from my home court, and I'd like to introduce Judge Celebrezzi, the administrative judge of the Domestic Relations Court of Cuyahoga County, and her nominee, Amber Sharpley, Help Center Navigation Specialist.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to have nominated Amber Sharpley for the 76th Franklin A. Polk Public Servants Merit Award. Amber began her career at Domestic Relations Court on December 30th, 1996 as a wage order processor in the Enforcement Services Unit, which was around the year I was born. Is that right, Mr. Cronenberg? She is currently a critical member of our Navigation Center, where she assists both self-represented litigants and attorneys with important information regarding court processes and procedures. In her service, Amber assists people on a variety of cases involving divorce, domestic violence, child support, and child custody. Often, the individuals who come into our court are experiencing what is possibly the most difficult times in their lives. Amber always treats parties and attorneys in a gracious and professional manner with patience, kindness, and respect. Her colleagues describe her as good-humored, good-natured, helpful, kind, and thoughtful. I have never seen Amber without a smile on her face or a kind word to say to help brighten someone's day. So we are proud to have Amber as one of our dedicated employees, and congratulations to you.
I just wanted to say thank you to the court, to the Cleveland Bar Association, to the judge, Celebrities, my family, and to the judges of the court. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Ms. Sharpley. You sure you don't, we got time. Hey. I can't argue with that sentiment. Our next presenter is County Prosecutor O'Malley, who's here to present his nominee, Lisa Wrights Williamson, First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney of Cuyahoga County.
Good evening, and first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for staying through this entire event. This is an important honor that we bestow upon our employees today, and the individual I nominated, Lisa Williamson, has a history of dedicated service as a public employee. She started her public service career in 1981. Working in the Child Support Enforcement Bureau and Domestic Relations Court. While working for the county, she went to law school at night. So much like many of the people here, she started on the bottom floor and worked her way up through the 4 decades she had of public service. While Lisa was working, she obtained her Juris Doctorate in 1988. She was hired by the late Congresswoman and County Prosecutor Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who on Lisa's application marked that she is 10 of 10 and a hard worker. She remained that way throughout her career. She started in the County Prosecutor's Office, first in the Appeals Unit, then she went to the Juvenile Division, then she went to the General Felony Division, then she went to the Appeals Unit, then she became the Appeals Unit Supervisor. In 2010, she became Chief of the Criminal Division. And in 2013, she retired. She then went to Juvenile Court and worked as a magistrate. Lisa has litigated in Common Pleas Court, the 8th District Court of Appeals, the Ohio Supreme Court. On one occasion, she filled in for an employee with 12 hours notice and went and argued a case at the Ohio Supreme Court. She has litigated in federal court, the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Supreme Court. She has also taught appellate classes at Case Western University School of Law. When I became county prosecutor in 2017, throughout my career, I have known hundreds and hundreds of attorneys. There was one person who fit the bill to having the type of career, the breadth of experience, the integrity, the compassion, the hard work, the knowledge to be the first assistant Cuyahoga County prosecutor. There was only one choice, and it was obvious to me, and that was Lisa Williamson. In the last 6 years, she has been a confidant, a mentor, a guiding voice. We don't always see eye to eye, but I appreciate her views because more often than not, she is right. So she has made my 5 years and 9 months that much easier with her presence and her guidance. The county has done well to have a public servant like Lisa Williamson for the last 4 decades. And again, I'm proud to call her my friend. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you for that, Mike. That was very, very nice. I just want to say thank you to the Bar Foundation for this lovely event. This is absolutely wonderful. And I'm very grateful to Mike. Mike and I worked together in the prosecutor's office for many years, and I'm beyond honored that he asked me to come back as the first assistant. I can't think of a better job. In being a county prosecutor, I can't think of a better way to end a career than to be the first assistant of the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. So I'm very grateful for having worked with you and worked for you. But I have to say, I'm very grateful for all the people I worked with. A wise supervisor told me one time, working for a county agency, working for a public agency means working with a team. And I didn't believe it at the time, but it was absolutely true. There was nothing that I've ever done in my career that wasn't with all of the wonderful people that I've worked with and worked for over the years. And I'm so grateful for their friendship, their professionalism, their guidance in all the years that I worked for the county. I'm the person I am today because of them. And although I never really intended to go into public service, it kind of just happened that way. But I'm very grateful to everyone. And I'm very grateful to my husband, who is my best friend and my supporter in everything, Judge Daniel Gall. Thank you for helping me all these years through everything. Like I said, I didn't really intend to go into public service, but it happened that way. And but I think one thing that guided me was, I remember when I was a kid, I grew up in Brook Park, and we lived 2 streets over from Holy Cross Cemetery. And every day we heard the 21 gun salutes that went off for all the men and women who had died during the Vietnam War. And I thought, there's a lot of bad in the world. So I thought, well, I'm just going to try to do some good. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, but hopefully I've done some good. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you and congratulations, Ms. Williamson. Our last honoree this afternoon was nominated by Chief Prosecutor and Law Director Dobick of the City of Parma. Her name is Victoria Ziegler. Unfortunately, she cannot be here because of a personal family matter, but on her behalf, I'd like you to know that she is the legal office manager for the Parma Law Department, where she manages an office of 11 attorneys, and 5 support staffers. She's worked for that law department for over 29 years. Mr. Dobick tells us that she is an invaluable asset to the City of Parma, committed to serving its citizens, always with a smile. Please join me in congratulating virtually Ms. Ziegler. It's now my pleasure to turn the microphone over to the chair this year of the Public Servants Award Committee, Sonali Wilson, who currently serves as General Counsel at Cleveland State University.
Thank you, Jacob. Wow, what an afternoon. Congratulations to all of the awardees. It's been such a pleasure for me to serve as chair of this year's Public Servants Celebration. What a tremendous group of individuals to recognize. It's been very heartwarming to hear all of their stories filled with honor, commitment, and dedication. They are truly the heroes and sheroes supporting our legal community. My remarks are really filled with thanks and appreciation and gratitude. On behalf of the Public Servants Planning Committee and the Board of Directors for the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation, Jacob, thank you for your longstanding and extraordinary service as our MC annually. Nobody could do it better, truly. I also offer my thanks to the members of this year's Planning Committee, Tara Coleman, Tom Herron, Majid Makhlouf, Frank Wardega, and our president, Larry Zuckerman. I'd like to share my gratitude to all of our event sponsors. Without our sponsors, this event would not be possible. The support that we've received for this event is a true testament to the appreciation that our legal community has for our public servants. Thank you also to the professional staff at the bar and the leaders of our courts and government offices who took the time to nominate today's award recipients. As great as today has been, we hope that all of you who are attending today, plus your friends, your family, and coworkers, will join the Bar Foundation for other special events. In 2023, our bar will celebrate its 150th anniversary. We have lots more celebrating to come over the next year, and we truly hope that all of you will join us. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Sonali. And I'd like to remind everyone, even though it sort of passed by on a slide, that shortly the 13 people who were honored today will have their names appear along with the dozens and dozens and dozens of others representing a zillion years in the entryway to the Cuyahoga County Courthouse. And I encourage everyone, even if you don't have business in that building, at some point, walk in the door. You don't even have to go through security, and take a look at those plaques. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby conclude the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation's 76th Annual Franklin A. Polk Public Servant Merits Awards Ceremony. I welcome all of you who are here to join us for a celebratory reception here just outside the auditorium doors and onto the balconies where you came in. And for those of you joining us virtually, we all hope to see you in person soon. Thank you very much for the honor.